Okay, so I know we kind of lost the audio a little bit there for a second. For the what is it called? For just the iTunes. I was only getting audio from one earbud, so I sometimes need to unplug and then replug in my speakers and that kind of mess with stuff. So yeah, we're back to more Hearts of Iron 4. And not feeling webcam today, so okay, let's go ahead and get into the call. Okay, we're live.
It literally spoils every scene.
I bet. I don't even know what movie you're talking about.
Dune,
Oh,
David Lynch's Dune, which is, as I was telling Chris, it has some of the best like visuals of any sci-fi movie ever made,
hmm.
and it's almost like it's almost if it hadn't been for people messing it up, it might have been like the perfect sci-fi movie
Hmm.
because it looks beautiful. The casting's really good. I mean, it's goofy at sometimes, but the casting's really good for the most part. And it really, really gets the feel of Dune. Like, it's hard, if you look at like the new movie that's coming out, or look at the trailer, you can tell they went to those visuals as inspiration.
Mm-hmm. All right, so ready on pause?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Oh god, what are we trying to do? Okay.
Invade the click. Which, on that note, what are you building right now, Steve?
Find out. Construction. I'm building land forts in Catalonia, apparently.
Why? Okay, Steve, I need you to build naval bases in Macau.
Okay, good. Get that started.
Yeah, we don't want them starving again.
At
Which
this point,
we are.
when it comes to this campaign, just tell me what to do at this point because my I seriously messed up early on playing this one.
Speaking of messing up early on, I would really like to try and get back to that sort of Eastern Europe campaign. One of these days.
Oh, it's like the Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be down. I still kind of like that idea, but God, man, that
It's actually pretty easy to not get killed as Czechoslovakia if you have some support. Put you guys in the mountains, and by guys I mean not tanks.
yeah, well, not tanks. No, you don't want to put tanks in. I learned that lesson.
Yeah, I don't blame you for thinking tanks could function defensively, but yeah.
Well, in most games, it doesn't matter. Oh, tanks are good.
Mm-hmm.
I should have known better that with Paradox it wouldn't be like that. But still, like that thinking of like, oh, well, you have like the bigger the unit, the better.
Yeah, since the last time we've done this, the DLC for the Greece, Bulgaria, and Turkey trees has been announced, and that's gonna be coming out in like 3-ish weeks, and that's looking cool.
I'm excited for them.
I'm really excited for the Turkey one, which I've already sort of said, but I haven't really read up anything about it. But yeah, having Turkey have its own tree, I think, is really great because of the it's like Mexico where you can make a lot of different decisions that can go a lot of different ways.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing about it. That's kind of the gist that I got. Like a mini Mexico, sort of.
So yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna do a. That'd probably be the first thing I do when that comes out. I might.
So would you guys
Yeah,
like
I
to
mean-
do a multiplayer of it? Of those three?
That could be interesting. I'd be down. I might do I would prefer to do a Turkey campaign like on my own first, so I kind of get like an idea of the tree.
I'd probably prefer to do something else and see how they change how we would do something. Now that they can actually do something.
I mean, I'm certainly gonna play it as soon as it comes out. It'll be on a Thursday, and I'll probably play it like the following 3 days.
Oh yeah, and I will probably do Bulgaria as soon as I get that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how as soon as I get that, I'm gonna do a Turkey campaign. There goes Mexico.
Or Kayes. All those nuclear bombs meant nothing.
I just like how he had all the nukes. That's hilarious. Oh god,
Oh.
of course I did.
They just can't get enough of it. A war with Mexico. Only Mexico at the moment. My dudes, I love how my tanks are just sitting there in Mexico. Like, they didn't die. Okay, now they're being transferred back.
You set that naval base to priority 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have set to fully build like up to 10 priority 1.
Okay. We probably won't need all of them, but we're taking attrition in Macau, and it's going to be a while before I get my justification finished.
Yeah, I have a feeling, to be honest, my army is going to be fairly useless. So what I'll be doing is focusing on infrastructure as needed.
So could we, if we promise that when we first try out the DLC, we first try out a country, that we will try out one country and then kind of see how they all sort of work, and then do we want to rotate so that we all play a different one that we tried first, or do we want to just like stick with the same one, or what are you thinking? If we do want to do a new one with the DLC.
I don't know. I still want to do that campaign where we're the queens.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I feel like it'd just be kind of more interesting to play the new thing as soon as it's out a little bit. I don't know.
Well, the cool thing about new trees is that even if you aren't playing them, they make interesting things happen.
Yeah. And I am going to be doing it single player beforehand anyway, so it actually may be a bit redundant to stick with there. Like, if I play as Greece and then I just play as Bulgaria. So yeah, maybe we could do something else. Because it's only going to be a weekly thing anyway. Yeah, right now we're working on China. And with war over. Oh no, okay. Now Britain is at war with Argentina. Sounds familiar.
Well, yeah, because Mexico is.
Yeah. And don't give them an option to make the US leave the faction, even if they wanted to. Hopefully Argentina... Freaking Mexico, dude. So is this a more conservative Mexico or a more liberal one, you think?
This one,
Is it
this is-
Conservative Camacho's in charge.
okay.
yeah, it's a conservative. It's like liberal, like, yeah, liberal imperialist.
Yeah, liberalize the banking sector.
Oh god, another agent.
You're losing
one of
more to...
one of my agents is in jail. Probably should do something about that. Brazil.
You know, it's funny, though, that Mexico did the international proletarianism.
Wait, what?
Like, they took the focus that they would oppose the United States and side with Russia.
That's weird. Well, because they might have been going in different... Like, Mexico can really get weird.
Yeah, exactly. That's like...
Which is why it's
Yeah,
the best
that's why
truth.
it's the best truth. I mean, because, yeah, it can be completely... it can go all over the place. It can change very rapidly.
Yeah, as they have. It's like... They're in the Allies. They somehow decided upon joining the international being an international proletarian government with the conservative president that is imperializing Central and South America.
Well, I mean, like, one of the craziest things I ever saw in this game is that in one of my games, there was a communist revolution in Mexico.
Communist? Those communisms.
Communist. Yeah, I was about to say that. I was going to make fun of myself. But anyway, there was a communist revolution in Mexico, and they lost. And then 4 years later, the head of the Communist Party of Mexico, who led the revolution, was elected president.
Yeah. Yeah, we've talked about this before. It's like Napoleon III.
Yeah. Mexico can go in so many different directions. I wish there were more trees like that.
It is hard to do it, though. Like, Turkey is probably the next best option because, you know,
Yeah.
neither Mexico nor Turkey had, like, Turkey just, like, stayed out of direct fighting. They did not join the war until, like, 1945 or something. And never actually fought.
They joined like 3 days before Germany surrendered.
Yeah. Like, what even is the point?
Which allowed them just enough time to veto the formation of Kurdistan.
Oh, yeah. We will risk losing tens of men in order for us to continue to be able to oppress the Kurdish people.
Don't say that around any Turks.
Look, man, they need to get over it. What's happening?
I agree, but
Like, not even saying that that necessarily a Kurdish state is the best solution, to like the difficulties that the Kurdish people have been having, but it's better than what has been happening.
Bad. I mean, yeah. Not to go into foreign policy or international relations too much, but yeah, that situation's not.
Gotta love how the most powerful Kurdish state in history was Egypt.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even call that a Kurdish state.
The Ayyubids,
I mean,
they were
Saladin-
definitely Kurdish.
Well, Saladin was Kurdish.
Yeah.
But I mean,
His entire
was
family was Kurdish.
Yeah, I mean, right, but the majority population wasn't Kurdish.
The majority population was everyone in the Middle East.
Yeah. Well, Egypt's an interesting place.
Always has been.
Yeah, it's like other. Like I like the idea that they have these sort of smaller focus like national focus tree packs that don't necessarily have to go with a bigger mechanical change. It's like, what other mechanical things would be good to add?
Well, now they've added espionage.
Yeah.
I think just expanding propaganda would be.
Yeah. That's the only thing I can think of, is that maybe that could be sort of the communist focus, is actually a way that you could spread the revolution one way or another.
Well, for the same, you can do it anywhere.
That would be a good thing to do, like to tag off of the espionage stuff.
Yeah.
Inflate casualty reports so you get more of a say in peace deals.
Ooh, that would be good.
I mean,
wow.
Well, you also have like.
That's what Goebbels did.
You can but United States, you could do like activate Hollywood. Which totally happened. To use the war effort, like getting all these celebrities to basically say like, to support the war effort.
Yeah, definitely.
Call Captain America.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The comic books. I mean, you could even add that in there. And stuff
that'd
like
be
that.
sick. And what's freaking. As Italy, you can get Ezra Pound his radio show.
Yeah, sway Ezra Pound.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be very difficult.
No.
But that would be a really funny focus. Just get that on its own. Sway Ezra Pound. I mean, I do like. I feel like the Spanish Civil War is really hard to do. I think it did a fairly good job at it, except that it's once you choose your path, it's linear.
Yeah. Well, there are places that you could diverge, but it's like it's linear, and then you choose another line. But you get to a fork,
Yeah, it diverges, but I mean, like for example, each of those forks really only has one way to go once you get to them.
Yeah, you have the. I was about to look, but you are Portugal.
For me, like unless you're Portugal, in which case you have you're like indestructible. In which case, the effects of the Spanish Civil War don't.
Yeah, you can just press the button and annex Spain.
Yeah, you're like, guys, don't worry about it.
Yeah, what's a Spain? Spanish Civil War? You mean Portugal?
You mean? Yeah.
It's like that meme. Like, is for me?
It's interesting too because like, if you're playing as the anarchists in Spain, you can, start an anarchist rebellion in Portugal. But there isn't like an anarchist past in Portugal.
Yeah.
So the other way doesn't work around. Like, it would make some more sense if you could do both.
Is there a way that you can do the whole the anarchist route while without like creating one singular anarchist state, quote unquote? It's
No,
like, can you be
because
like?
technically not a state.
That's what I mean, quote unquote.
No, because
A singular
essentially-
tag.
No, there can't be more than one anarchist
Okay.
within the game because anarchist is unaligned. You can't join factions. You can. That doesn't mean you're immediately at war with everybody. Like, the AI will be smart about it.
Wait, so you mean Botan's not going to declare war on you just because you're anarchist?
Right. Well, what I mean more than that is that the major factions won't. Like, for me in my game, Stalin declared war on the Allies, and I never ended up going to war with the Comintern. I ended up fighting their war, but like, my basic assumption is whichever one you choose won't declare war on you unless I don't know, maybe if you really mess up somehow. But it's also very, like, you know, I was able to get like certain groups within the Comintern would give me like supplies and stuff with Lend-Lease, but then others wouldn't. But you actually can get Lend-Lease even after, you know, the anarchist revolution is successful. If you are playing as Spain, you can still get like Lend-Lease from like the Soviets, but it's way more difficult. Like, you really gotta make sure that you
Gotta say please real
are
hard.
kind of like reaching out to them. Whereas, I mean, the Allies, I'm not entirely sure. And I think there's actually, it's easier probably to get aid from the Comintern than it is from the Allies as the anarchists. So I'm not positive about that. But basically, if you succeed at playing as the anarchists, everyone hates you.
I wonder why.
But if you win, you save humanity. Gotta export that save to Polaris, and then you've got your internet,
Then
Your-
you have
your
then you have the Galactic Defense Council.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like the Global Defense Council is too good of a name, you know? Like, you can't just...
The Global Defense Council is the best name.
Yeah, seriously.
Period. It's though I really I would like to play a game where the Global Defense Council is the name, but it's just still Catalan.
But it's just what?
Still Catalan.
Yeah.
I don't think it's actually possible, but that would be really funny. But
Would you want to do a... Yeah, I don't know.
I think it would be fun to try to do, if we could do an anarchist campaign, we'd have to do it where we're all playing as the anarchists, basically.
Yeah.
which actually would probably be the best way to go about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone has their front that they focus on.
What?
Everyone has
Will we divide it so everyone focuses on one aspect, or will we just do it anarchically where we're all doing stuff without consulting each other?
That would be funny.
Well, no, they'd all be divided in one aspect, which is how you do it, like in real life. But
Befehle. Angetreten.
I mean,
Befehle.
the way you do it, yeah, we each have like one aspect to focus on. Maybe some I would almost assume we'd look at it like as in different regions. After a certain
Well, I would say
like maybe first
one person handles the army, one person handles the air force, and one person handles the navy.
I mean that could sort of work, but I feel after a while, like at the beginning maybe that, but then after once it gets larger, then you'd be doing we each have our own like region or something like that we'd be focusing on, because otherwise it'd be the best way to split it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if only doing stuff with the Air Force would be pretty lame.
Yeah. Early on, I mean, it would be, especially the way the game works with the Spanish Civil War, where, I don't know, have you guys done it yet?
No, I still don't have the DLC.
Okay. John, have you done that yet?
No.
Okay, I recommend it. I actually think the Spanish Civil War is a way better tutorial for this game than most
Germany?
other ones.
Or Italy?
Yeah, well, because you have a lot of time. You have a lot of like debuffs and stuff, but you have a lot of time to repair. Your enemies have the same debuffs, and it also kind of makes sense the Spanish Civil War be a tutorial for World War II.
Yeah.
Because it kind of was a tutorial for World War II.
So how goes your crusade against the soldier of God guy?
Oh no. Oh no, he's fine. No need to talk about that. Though.
Alright, Guangxi click. Very nice.
Steve, I'm calling you into this because it can't start without you.
Okay. I'm gonna pause real quick. Run to the restroom.
I do have...
And Trotsky. I like how Trotsky's already dead, but then he's also not dead.
Could you accept the call to arms so I can actually start my war?
Yeah,
there we go.
There we go. Okay, I'm pausing real quick because I want to make sure that I'll be right back.
If you could take another port, I could send some of my dudes in. Like, I've got 24 motorized and light tanks just up in, up by Catalan. still haven't quite done anything to Argentina.
What?
No one's quite done anything to Argentina.
Well, can't say I expected that would end any differently.
I mean, if someone would just do something. Then I think after Argentina, they'll go for Uruguay. Although, yeah, it'll be Uruguay or Colombia. Then once those are done, they may attack us. Or they might go for Guyana or the Netherlands. Oh, actually, they don't have CBs on them yet.
You know, Steve, you helping out would be nice.
Oh, you started the game back up.
You
No, we
never
didn't
paused.
pause, dude.
I thought I did.
No, you didn't at all.
I pressed the wrong button. I mean, all my troops are horrible.
Why are they horrible?
I set this country up before I knew how to play the game.
Okay. I'm
Really
sending
bad.
I'm sending 100 jet fighters to help.
That actually probably would have helped a lot. I can't get full coverage, so I can't drop any bombs.
Alright, they are being deployed, getting air superiority.
No, we're not getting anything.
That's weird. I mean, they aren't deployed yet. Won't be until like 2 hours from now. Okay, they're there.
Okay, yeah, now we have air superiority.
Alright, I'm gonna get some close air support. Do I have any good close air
I have the
support?
world's worst army.
Oh, there you go. And just casually nuking large cities in southern China.
We're casually nuking. We're doing the. This is the Douglas MacArthur route.
Well, hey, you know how right he turned out to be.
I mean, wrong. I mean, when Steve Bannon's like one of the few people who agrees with you, you know, probably should check on your. Then again, he's dead, so it doesn't. You know, Douglas MacArthur is thankfully very dead.
All the troops just marching into nuclear wastelands.
Yeah, we've won. Already I've already melted their entire weapons stockpile.
Wow. Alright, just send some trucks to Nanning, and you should be real close there. That's like the 4th time you've nuked Guangzhou.
Befehle?
Well, one of these times it's gonna stick.
They just don't get it yet.
Bereit zum Ausrücken. Ihre Befehle? Angetreten.
And melting weapons in nuclear fire is a very good strategy.
Yeah.
Angetreten. Ihre Befehle. Ihre Befehle. Angetreten. Angetreten.
Argentina still hanging on. It's nearly everything in Guangzhou is just totally decimated. Like there is
Well,
one
France
functioning.
ain't doing too well either.
There's one level of airport in Guangzhou that is not destroyed.
Oh, I could fix that.
Mongolia is at war with the Allies. I think I'm not going to
There we go.
join. What was that?
zum Ausrücken.
Alright, you almost got Guangzhou. Nice. How bad is the attrition? Like, would it be helpful if I were to send some dudes?
It's really just a matter of time at this point.
Okay.
Like I said, I've melted most of their guns.
I like how there are a bunch of Japanese troops just on the border of Manchuria. Like, they're both your puppets, but they still don't like each other.
Yep.
Hope Hong Kong isn't downwind.
Well, hey, none of us own Hong Kong, so it's not our problem.
Yeah. Yeah, you may want to let your tanks there chill for a bit. They're pretty low on organization. Like in Guangzhou.
I had them set to aggressive because, you know, they're tanks.
Yeah.
Bereit. Ausrücken. Bereit.
You know, if we were to just invite Argentina to the... no, they wouldn't accept, would they?
We just accepted Argentina into the faction.
No, I was thinking maybe that could be useful. Like... I mean, if we just get them in the faction, and then we join in their war, it would still be a defensive war, and then we can actually get stuff started.
So, Steve,
Mm-hmm.
are you planning on helping at all?
I haven't.
You're kind of just sitting there.
My troops are moving. My troops are moving forward, sort of.
They're moving
No.
forward when I take more land. They're not helping fight for it.
Motherfucker.
Do you have a... There you
Yes,
go.
I have a war plan, and I have it active.
Do you have...
Zuhören.
You have an offensive line drawn
Yes,
somewhere?
I have an offensive line going all the way through.
Set your,
I don't know why
set
that
your
was-
orders to execute aggressively.
Angetreten.
Let me see. Yeah, they're unbalanced right now. Okay.
Bereit
and setting them to execute aggressively. I don't know if it's going to work,
It's
though.
going
They're
to
like,
work because our supply here is so low that they're not going to march forward unless you make them.
okay. Because, yeah, they were going when I was telling them to... Why are they still not going? They won't go. Okay.
Some of them are going. Like, there are
some
four
of them are
divisions
going,
down there
but,
that have too little organization. But you do have 7 that are still moving forward.
Because, I'll tell you why. The Chinese United Front didn't give me military access.
Oh. Huh.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
So weird.
I just asked them for it.
It should be hard programmed that a puppet cannot possibly be in another
I didn't
faction.
even think that would be a problem.
It shouldn't be. Like, it should be hard coded that a puppet cannot be in another faction, let alone the leader of a different one than their overlord. Like, that should be non-negotiable.
Okay, now they're gone. Sort of. Why didn't they move? Jesus. I mean, I guess I think the thing is that because that whole faction is a puppet, it like fucked up the AI for that reason.
I'm still waiting for the third Trotsky.
Hmm.
We need more representation. Just a bunch of Trotskys. I mean, to be honest though, what just happened, that is actually something that would happen in real life.
Multiple people claiming to be Trotsky.
Like, give them, like, permission to move to their territory.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's no more weird than Switzerland invading
Three
the wrong
times?
country 3 times in a row. Of course, we're still not really moving forward. That's the I'm just manually telling him to go. Oh, now.
Alright, leftist international Venezuela is now a puppet.
What was it before?
A colony. Alright, I'm gonna try and orchestrate a coup in Argentina. It's gonna be a little bit before I can start, but I think that'd be cool.
Why?
Because then we have the option that we could get them in our faction and then we could start fighting defensively. Alright, I'm gonna step away for a minute, I'll be back soon. Kinda.
Okay.
Sorry, one sec. Be right back. Jesus. Okay, I'm pausing. No, I'm back.
Okay.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to get off around 8. I think I'm gonna make a call in a little bit, so sorry, I just wanted to let you know.
Okay.
Talk about border gore. My army sucks. Come on, guys. Just do anything. Jeez. Chuck Schumer really is in charge of this army.
Okay, we broke their line. They're split in half now.
I feel like all my troops received like how to do war text based off the children's crusade. I mean, our next campaign will definitely be better organized. That's all I have to say. This game is kind of like college, where if you get behind for like just a little bit, it snowballs.
Yep.
Not as bad as EU4.
Oh, you're screwed.
Not nearly as bad as EU4.
Yeah,
EU4
you're flat out screwed.
Yeah, oh yeah. I do love that you can have the largest city in the planet.
Oh god.
And I still think my Westphalia, like, if you just think about what that would look like in real life, is probably the funniest thing. Because, I mean, you have, like, a city of, like, maybe, like, 5 million people. Well, probably not 5 million people, but a lot of people. With just absolutely
No infrastructure.
structure whatsoever.
World's largest shanty town.
I mean, that, like, would collapse so quickly.
Oh, it's about time Japan actually decides to do something. So
Well,
Japan's entire strategy in this game is to launch like 30 naval invasions at once. And this is the first time in this war they've attempted to do one.
well, because, well, my country is led by Chuck Schumer. Their country is led by Nancy Pelosi. It's the end of my political jokes for tonight. You know, honestly though, if there was any company I trusted to make a game based off U.S. politics, it would be Paradise.
Well, when you're playing as the U.S. and the president is under an ethics invasion,
an
the quote
ethics
that
invasion,
your response is
investigation.
no ethics investigation.
Okay, I wasn't sure. What you, like, I thought maybe that was a thing.
The quote, your only response is "It's a witch hunt."
It's great. Yeah, the U.S. I've never really tried to play much because
It's hard.
it's really big too. I mean, really, just the amount of like from the get go, the amount of like okay, you have to figure like you have the islands, you have lots of stuff you have to deal with.
Great Depression.
Britain too. Yeah, the Great Depression.
Britain's not that hard. You just have to lean on the Navy. Like, the Navy is your focus.
And
Your army
is
doesn't
my least favorite
even
part
re-
of the game.
yeah. Your army as Britain almost doesn't have to exist.
Just like in real life. There's one of Orwell's best pieces about why like fascism didn't take hold in Britain as it did in in many other countries in Europe. Was that in Britain everybody and there has to be some kind of seriousness taken towards the military. And in Germany, for example, you have the goose step. In Britain, everybody would just laugh at soldiers.
That's
Like it was like a national pastime.
wow.
It still is, you know, like the
Soldier
Queen.
would walk down the street, would go ha 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 ha.
I mean, it still kind of is, you know, like with the Royal Guard, where it's part of the culture that to annoy them to see if you can get them to break their concentration.
Yeah, just to annoy them. Like, everybody would just make fun of them. So, and like, without that seriousness where the military is taken as like, oh, we're really important, it's way more difficult for fascism to take hold because it requires that.
Yeah.
Like,
What's up, Chuckles Laugh?
Unconditional respect.
You know, just any way to
Well,
play a game
also helped that
differently.
They arrested Oswald Mosley.
Oh yeah, I know that too.
Little commie Germany, you know. Sadly, nothing too special about it. The way that we did this is that we made the Berlin-Moscow axis. So, yeah. Any way to play a country differently, and if it has a different name, I will do it. So we had to play it a little weird.
They're having fun with the history.
What was that?
Oh, I was adding, like, having fun with the history of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a... Oh, especially if it was a fun flag or a fun name. Like the 5th Portuguese Empire. There weren't even, like, 4 before it. Maybe one. Maybe 1 Portuguese Empire. And then it just jumped to 5. Like, come on.
Still love to play a game where it's like Switzerland, but the entire planet.
Yeah.
Like, conquering the world of Switzerland would be incredibly funny. It would never work. I don't think that's possible.
It's been done.
Wait, are you serious?
I'm sure. I could probably find you a video.
Oh, okay. I'm sure someone's good enough at this game to do it.
Not me.
Not me. No, I'd lose very quickly. But I'm sure someone out there is good enough at this game to pull.
I'm gonna look it up. I think I know a guy. I think I've showed you guys, I'm pretty sure this dude has done it before. But, I think I've shown you the videos. I Sorrow Productions. Real funny guy.
I'd really like to see the Polynesian Empire take control of the whole world. That would be truly impressive from any player. If any player can do that, and they're listening, excuse me. But if anybody can do that as the Polynesian,
Like, it's starting as New Zealand, maybe?
send you at least $1. I will send you $1 because I don't have a lot of money, but I'll send you one.
Polynesia's the
And
only formable nation that can be done while you are a puppet.
Really? Okay. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
New Zealand can do it while it's a dominion.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. If somebody can pull that off, especially in Iron Man mode, I will send you a whole dollar bill, and I'll promote your GoFundMe if you want. It's really not saying much though, because like nobody will donate to it. Okay. Okay, so I'm focusing on the Western Front, sending my troops to a new.
As you should,
line.
because the Eastern Front is basically dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Byzantine achievement is going to be actually a bit more interesting once the focus tree comes out.
With Byzantine?
Yeah, there is an
Yeah.
achievement at launch.
Oh my god! So is Turkey, you can go full Byzantine?
No,
it's
Greece.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
But as Greece, you could always go full Byzantine. Now they're just going to support
Okay.
it.
Well, yeah. I mean, no, that's pretty great.
Alright, let's see if I can find it.
I feel like Turkey should be able to go full Byzantine as well if you were to play it a certain way.
I think they can remake the Ottomans.
Now that they definitely.
Yeah, they
should.
absolutely can.
Like that, yeah, 100%. Turkey should there should definitely be Ottoman revival. I mean, I'm trying to think of different ways you could go with Turkey. Iran would be another one, David. Really? Yeah, they should really. Iran focus should be great.
You have seen all of the formable nations, right? You've seen those, right, Steve?
Well, here's the thing about Iran: Iran is like incredibly important to World War II because the
British preemptively invaded them.
sort of preemptively invaded them. The Soviets took control of the northern half of the country, and the British and Americans took control of the southern half of the country. And that was Iran was literally the that's how arms were sent to the Soviet Union from America to help in their war effort. And the Germans, they had a huge influence in Iran because they had helped build the railroads there and certain things like back in the pre-Nazi days. And the Germans were actually fairly well liked because Germany had, during basically its relations with Iran, they were fairly smart about it. And what they did is they gave a better deal than the other colonial powers, including, Russia, the Russian Empire, that is.
Mhm.
This is like 1900, like around that era. What they did was they were basically like in the Bismarck era, they were giving a better deal to Iran and the Middle East and other parts because they were trying to undercut the other imperial powers. And so they actually helped kind of build the railroad there and stuff like that. And so there was this massive kind of propaganda war going on between all these different parties within the Middle East. And yeah, the Middle East was a huge theater of World War II. It wasn't like a extremely violent one as far as the Axis and the Allies, except for certain areas. But as far as the logistics go, it was extremely important, and also the oil. Don't forget about that. Which
of course. All right, there's the.
That Iran had huge oil reserves.
There's the video I was talking about.
Oh yeah, so I actually learned something pretty interesting the other day. Do you know how much knowledge was lost when the Library of Alexandria burned?
A lot.
No,
Like, what do you
none.
mean none?
None.
You, you see, Rome had been defunding the library for a century. And as the library lost more and more funding, eventually the scholars, one by one, started leaving. And when they left, they took pieces of the collection with them. By the time Rome torched the library for good in 275, the building itself had been abandoned for like 15
275?
years. Yep.
That wasn't the first time it burned down.
No.
Cathedral
But
burned it
that,
down.
yes, on accident.
Yeah,
and
by
he didn't
accident.
destroy that. He destroyed a bunch, but not a lot. Like most of the library was still intact.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's when I think of the burning of the library. That's usually what I think of. Was when Caesar burnt it down.
No, 275 is when they just torched the building completely.
I mean, when almost all these situations, a lot of it was survived by weird things, to an extent. But I mean, I'd say probably the torching of Baghdad by the Mongols was probably a more.
Yeah, but basically, because Rome had been just cutting funding basically every year, by the time the library was actually destroyed, almost the entire collection had been moved to and spread out across the Mediterranean. A huge chunk of it relocated to Athens.
Well, I don't know. I think it's funny they were defunding the library.
Well, of course they were.
Right. No, I mean it's just fun. It's like I find it incredibly funny that like we in America have this like mythology of like okay, actually not even mythology. I think it's incredibly funny that the founding fathers built this country on on the basis of a country or a whatever you want to call the Roman Republic. The most notable thing of which is that it collapsed horribly.
I don't know, I'd say the whole lead poisoning thing was pretty notable.
Yeah, but we did that too.
Achtung!
The problem the Roman Republic or Empire eventually had, we have had now.
Except for the invading barbarians. We don't have any of those.
Even that was, I mean, even that was almost like, it was basically just like people's fears of like non-Romans.
I mean, that did happen, though. There were Germanic peoples that moved in and started establishing their own states. And that's not even talking about the Huns that were.
Rome often invited them in.
Oh yeah, that's they were used as military forces, and they kept getting more and more power because the Romans could do nothing about it.
We also have sort of done.
Except they're also Americans, and it's Blackwater.
No. I mean, we constantly use mercenary armies throughout the world.
That's the majority of our occupying forces in Afghanistan and Iraq and stuff.
And I'm not even talking about, like, I mean, you can go back to the Mujahideen. I mean, the United States completely supported them back in, like, back in the 80s, you know, or the Contras. You know, you can go back to any of these things, and you have non-American military forces that are being essentially directed by the U.S. foreign policy. But I mean, it's not a one-to-one. because I don't think anything is a 1-to-1 comparison with anything, especially with the Roman Republic.
Well, you
Or
know,
Roman Empire is
I'd
very,
say
very.
the lead is pretty
The
1-to-1.
the lead is 1-to-1. Now that one is 1-to-1. I mean, yeah. Oh, I agree with that 100%. The lead part, that part is 1-to-1 because literally we're doing the same thing, possibly even dumber. Because I mean, the Romans did have a pretty decent understanding of like.
Oh, they
scientific...
understood it completely.
Oh, did they?
They were the ones who discovered lead poisoning.
Never mind then. Then yeah, 100% 1-to-1. 100%. Not even, yeah, no, 100% 1-to-1 in that one. I mean, the Romans were very much, I guess, innovators in environmental destruction.
Yep.
Their areas of Spain, they had very, like, where they did their iron mines, they had extremely destructive technologies to actually to bring iron out of the ground.
Achtung!
They also had, okay, I mean, keep in mind, they had the first firefighting department. It was like the most capitalist thing that ever existed.
Yeah, they set fires.
No, they set fire to your house and then charged you as it burnt down. I mean, it's like basically inventing modern insurance.
Yeah.
Befehle?
They also had great graffiti.
Yeah.
Zuhören!
And honestly, there's nothing funnier. I just type in, if either of you or anyone else,
Ihre Befehle!
if you're listening, type in Roman graffiti at some point. At Pompeii, because it was all preserved when that city was completely annihilated.
Achtung!
If you wonder what people thought 3,000 years ago,
Befehle?
I mean, not 3,000 years ago, I mean 2,000 years ago, go look that up.
I like the Phoenician graffiti on Cyprus, where it was like the scene from Life of Brian, where apparently there was a guy who went and corrected the graffiti's grammar.
Okay.
I like the Roman graffiti because there's like, it's like Tiberius Augustus sucks balls.
Hmm.
Like literally, like not. I'm not even like that's not an actual exact quote, but it's very close to it. Very, very close.
Man.
Wasn't there one that was, despite what he says, Marius is the father of my baby?
Something like that. Yeah, there's another one that was like, I abandon you, woman. From now on, it will only be penises for me. I mean, it's kind of great. It just goes to the show,
people
it's like,
haven't
oh
changed
wow.
very
Exactly.
much.
No,
People
they
have
haven't
not
changed,
changed.
like, well, it always bothers me when people say that they're like, oh, we've evolved. It's like
Nope.
evolution takes a long time.
Like, if we were to ever see what we would, like, if you could say that people have evolved, we wouldn't be looking at,
Like in a biological sense.
yeah, like,
Like, yeah, I'm sure there's certain changes, like epigenetics and that sort of thing. Yes, but
that can happen within like a generation, can't it? Like
over
minor things.
2000 like over 2,000 years, that's not how it works.
What?
Yeah,
No,
there isn't-
definitely not.
No.
No, there isn't, like, the human race has not evolved
In any real.
in, like, dramatic, like, I guess, again, I'm like not a biologist, you are, Chris, but in a macro sense, I guess would be the way I'd put it.
In any real meaningful
No
way.
for evolution to be anything but a macro sense.
Like, that has not happened.
And also, it's not progressive at all.
Yeah, no. Well,
It's
nothing is progressive.
Completely random.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing that bothers me so much where people, like, it's a very common misconception that things just move forward.
Nope.
That's not how it works with anything, period. Like, there isn't, like, some, like, guaranteed advancement.
Nope. Chances are most changes are going to be completely
Right.
neutral.
And that's the
That's
thing.
how they get fixed. They don't matter, so there's no forces that select against them.
I mean, yeah, I think, basically all ideas of natural progression,
Don't exist.
they are completely
Yeah,
false.
there's
Yeah,
no
they do not exist.
progression at all.
Things change, yeah.
Huh.
That
And
is
made a-
unavoidable.
Japan made a landing in eastern Guangxi click.
Yeah, I know. It took them forever to do it.
Well, that's why it's important when people start, making excuses for things like phrenology or something. Pretending that it's a science again.
Which it never was.
It never was. You make fun of them, show them,
Ihre Befehle?
the good old fuck you, if you will.
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
I mean, we're talking about United States in particular.
Befehle!
It was understood in Europe in the 1930s that race science was a pseudoscience. Not so in the United States, because United States really racist. But pretty much, outside of like fascists and their allies or their unwitting allies, race science was known, like, scientifically to be pseudoscience.
Our counterintelligence service has achieved a major success following extensive interrogation, and upon being informed of her likely fate, as she was charged with espionage, the captured Dutch agent Koba Mas has agreed to cooperate with us in return for a... Oh.
Oh my god, my spy! Oh, they're both in jail! Jeez. Oh, I guess they're both dead now.
Full amnesty of crimes. With her in-depth knowledge of the inner workings of the Dutch intelligence services, You will no doubt find it much easier to infiltrate the Netherlands and remain undetected by Dutch counterintelligence. I gained a double agent.
Nice.
I'm gonna say one thing about the espionage thing, which bothers me, is that I can only have 2 spies. That's not how espionage works.
Yeah.
So I will say that I don't think that they implemented that particularly well. I think it works, but it could be better.
It's more geared towards single player stuff.
Yeah, definitely. But it's also easy to forget about. And single player, again, when you can pause, it's different. Because I'd pause it and I'd check all my different things, and I'd take a look around, see what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right. But yeah, multiplayer, like, I didn't even notice that both my spies got captured.
Okay, we need to deal with this attrition.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Agent killed. A hero called to her final rest.
I mean, you're making some advances, kinda.
Yeah, we're making progress, but it's slower than it should be.
Okay, I can go for another like 15 minutes, but then I need to get off.
Okay. And by the way, Steve, I did put that video in the Discord there.
I'm gonna take a look real quick.
ISP's a cool dude.
Wait. Where did you put it?
In the Discord.
In general?
No, he put it in the Porch Republicans.
Oh, yeah, that one. Sorry. All these things. I
one.
put it in.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
I put it in a DM'd it to Chris first, and I got confused.
You know, Japan, a naval invasion would be very good right about now. That is what you specialize in.
There's
Bereit.
What was that, Steve?
they're waiting for them to be reasonable,
Ihre
not
Befehle?
put someone on the Supreme Court. We'll launch a naval invasion. I don't know. Joke that had a point, but which didn't have a joke. Let's do it. The Soviet troops were confused by the Portuguese soldiers as they came armed with baguettes.
Yeah, you do realize that most of your soldiers are just standing around again.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
If you invite me into the war,
Like, just tell them to go some random play. I'm telling them to go to Nanking. But
if you invite me to the war, I might be able to get a naval landing before you take the capital. Maybe. I mean, it'll still take me like...
Sure, why not?
It'll take me like 64 days, but...
Befehle? Bereit zum Ausrücken. Ihre Befehle? Achtung! Achtung!
Okay, I'll be right back. No need to unpause.
Oh, they finally got that naval invasion going. And it looks like they're about to lose the port.
$45, and I'll be ready to send him in. Let's see what he would help at that point.
Okay, I'm back. How we doing?
It's going.
We're making progress.
Okay. Okay, well, I actually think I gotta get off now.
Okay.
Are we good to do this next weekend?
Yeah.
Or possibly, I mean, I don't know about, I think you and I, John, are probably in the same boat, but I mean, Chris, would you be able to do it sometime in the middle of the week?
No.
Damn. Okay. Because, yeah, I mean, right now I can do this more often.
I'm in the office this week.
Okay. Yeah, no, I kind of figured, but
And we're about to get this too.
But yeah, that needs
Kinda.
to wrap up like right about now. What's up?
We're pretty close though. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's gonna. I don't know. Do you think would it just help to have more dudes on the front? Should I just send them to the front line? Would that be good enough, or is the attrition still too bad?
I
No,
don't
it would
think-
not help to have more dudes on the
I
front.
think so because of our supply. I think our
Okay.
supply is so bad that it actually like genuinely wouldn't.
Like, even taking massive attrition, I'm keeping their people in check.
Okay.
Well, the
No,
nukes,
even without the nukes do help though.
nukes do help.
How close to? Let's.
U.S. Air Force and
And they just lost their millionth casualty. It's officially a megadeath. Want me to nuke non-Ning for you?
No, nuke a place where they've got a bunch of soldiers.
Okay, right here. Nuking. 10 hours. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
you know, I do have to admire how cynical Paradox games are.
Yeah. When you take a macro perspective on any human
Like, compared to
endeavor, it
something
kind of is.
Civilization,
Kind of want to drop another. Just got 15 guys there, just sitting there. I'm
yeah,
doing
but
it.
they're really just.
I can't imagine they have too many. Just like their fighting ability is pretty dwindled. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I gotta make a call, so which might last for a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, we can just leave it off here then.
Normally, I wouldn't. Normally, I'd be down to like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I'm good for ending it here now.
Yeah, sorry. Normally, I'd be down to keep going for a little bit longer. But yeah, I gotta make a call that might last for a little bit.
Okay. All right then. So I'll just be calling it here tonight. I'll be playing
Sorry.
some. It's fine. I mean, it's my fault that we couldn't have played much longer yesterday because of a very, very simple thing that I just didn't think to
I'd
do.
like to finish this off if we can do this. You know, that happens. It happens.
Like I didn't. Okay, so what the problem was that it's like the volume mixer. I had OBS muted on the volume mixer, and it was not actually like I didn't think that would be the issue. That like normally volume mixer I think is all right. I can't hear this. You know, it's not okay. No sound is going to this because it is muted. That's not really how muting works, in my experience.
Right.
But apparently, I don't know anything. All right, so
Yeah, no. Well, I got you. And also, like, my first thought is like, oh, maybe there's something wrong with the PC. Like, restart. Like, you know.
no, it's fine. Like I figured it out like an hour or so after we tried yesterday. All right, well that'll be it for this one. Till next time, thank you guys very much for joining me. Rock over London, rock on Chicago. I am Cyrock Omega, and have a nice day. Later.